Hi, I'm Terry with Creating the Magic, and I'm going to go over returning to a newly reopened Walt Disney World. In this video, I'm going to go over the requirements and the top concerns about getting in any place on Disney property. If I felt safe in Disney World, and also all the safety measures that Disney is taking for its cast members and its guests. I'm all about that Disney magic, and I'm going to go over the difference in the feel in the magic and who I think would really love to go to Disney World right now during the limited experience. If you want any information on any of those topics, then keep watching. I knew that I was returning to Walt Disney World as soon as they announced the dates that they were reopening. I know that Disney holds itself to a very high standards, and they would not have opened if they felt that the guests or the cast members were going to feel or be unsafe. And during my trip in early July, I was not let down. Let's go over all the things that I experienced in my Walt Disney World trip. So the first two top requirements to get anywhere on Disney property are going to be temperature checks and wearing a mask. To be able to get into Disney Springs, to be able to get into any of the four main parks, and now they have updated to be able to go and eat at a Disney resort restaurant, you go through a temperature check. Temperature checks are very easy. All you do is you go up and they have a temperature that scans your forehead, and they make sure that your temperature must be 100.4 or below. Another thing that you do need to be aware of, if you are in a party and one of those people in your party does register 100.4 or higher and does not have their temperature go down after their little resting period, nobody in the party will be able to be allowed in Disney property at all. So keep that in mind, and maybe take your temperature from everybody in your party before you leave your resort. One of the top concerns that I see in most people is what happens if you do register higher than 100.4, because Florida is very hot and walking around just raises your temperature. And this is the procedure that they do. So if you do register at 100.4 or higher, then they will set you off to a tent that is next to it and let you cool off. They will recheck you in about 10 to 15 minutes to see if your temperature goes down, getting you under fans and giving you some water. Normally, if you have a temperature and it's going to stay there, it does not come down as you cool off. The second big requirement that Walt Disney World has is wearing a mask at all times, basically 100% of the time. You must show up in a mask. You cannot go to the gates at Disney Springs, or actually now to a restaurant that is in a resort, or any of the four parks. They actually have vending machines outside of the four main parks just in case you do forget your mask. Disney is being very strict about what kind of masks are allowed. So the requirements for your mask are, number one, they must loop around your ears and fit securely. They must also cover your chin and not have any open space under your chin. They must be at least 2 layers of fabric, and breathable fabric at that. They have newly updated just recently that there are no holes, no valves, or any mesh masks are allowed at all. Also, the gator style masks are not allowed, and the reasoning behind this is it leaves too much exposure in between your chin, and Disney has newly updated their mask policy and now trying to make it to where guests are not abusing it by walking around and eating and drinking. So now the new rule states that you must be actively eating and drinking and stationary to be able to bring down your mask. You are no longer allowed to just walk around Disney and eat or drink and then have. I did test out 3 different masks that I wore on my last trip, and in my next video I'm going to go over the 3 different masks that I had, my experiences with them, and also integrating in the relaxation zones all around the parks. Keeping yourself distance in the parks from other people is really your responsibility. It is just like going to the grocery store or to Target nowadays. It's your responsibility, if you get into a bottleneck, to either have patience and stay back, or go another direction so that you stay your 6 feet apart. And in the parks, it is no different. In my experience, and actually being in the park and Disney Springs, I did have 2 very different experiences. Now, you have limited capacity in the park. So if you have ever gone to the parks before the closure, then you know how busy it can get and how elbow to elbow everybody is. Right now, during the limited capacity and having the park reservation system, it really does feel like there's hardly anybody in the parks. Only times that I felt like there were a lot of people around were first thing in the morning and in the popular areas. So in Animal Kingdom, first thing in the morning, most people went to Pandora and Flight of Passage and the Na'vi River. So it did feel like that there were a few more people around, but it wasn't so crowded that I felt uncomfortable. There is an exception about Disney Springs though. I do think that Disney Springs had a lot more people in it, especially in the evening time after everybody got off work, and then also on the weekends whenever all the locals will go. So if crowds are an issue and you don't want to be around a lot of people, then I suggest going to Disney Springs during the morning time and not in the evening time. Spacing on rides is done very well with very clear markers in the entire queue. The only thing that I would say is if there are any parties of 4 or 5 or more, you will need to probably leave another marker in between you. And I really only had this happen to me just a couple of times where the party in front of me had about 6 people, and usually 6 people don't fit in the little bubble that they have for you while you're in line. And like I said, it only really happened about 2 or 3 times, and all I did was just kept another marker in between me and the party in front of me to make sure that I kept my 6 feet distance. In some of the rides, they have a little tighter queues, and the queues can kind of zigzag close to each other. And in that instance, they do have plexiglass and barriers up in between the rides and the railings so that you are not close to another guest. In all of the Disney-owned gift shops that they have either in Disney Springs or in the parks, they do have a one-way in and a one-way out. So it's very important that you pay attention to the exit and the entrance signs. Also, at the exit and the entrance, they do have cast members there with a little handheld, and they keep track of how many people are going in and then how many people are going out. When it comes down to eating, if you are wanting to eat at a table service restaurant, you absolutely have to have a reservation to be able to get into a table service restaurant in any of the parks. Also, make sure that you know what table service that you want to eat at, because not all locations are available at this time. If you are going to order from a counter service place, then it is very, very recommended that you use the mobile order. If you are going to pay cash and you do not want a mobile order, then you will be directed to another area and another podium for you to go up to. So how the mobile ordering works is that you will go on into the app, into My Disney Experience app, pick which park you're at, and then pick which location that you want to eat at. What you're going to do is you're going to choose a window of when you want to eat. When you are ready for them to start preparing your food, then you press the button that says, I am ready. When your food is ready, you will get a notification through the app that lets you know what window that you are to arrive to. Now, whenever you go up to the location that you ordered at, there will be a cast member at the door. They will ask to see your app to make sure that your food is ready, because they are making sure that there is not a crowd of people inside waiting for food and that there's too many people in a very close space, because some of the counter service places to be able to get your food are a little tighter. Now, as far as the cleaning measures go, I was very impressed with all the actively cleaning that was going on non-stop with cast members. I would see cast members, they would be walking around with rags and their spray bottle. They will be spraying down high touch points to the point to where they were spraying down trees, they were spraying and wiping down posts that people might lean against, railings, even the cement and benches that are around all in the parks, also on trash cans. Any high touch point area, they had a group of cast members walking around just actively wiping down. On every single ride that you go to at Walt Disney World, they have hand sanitizer at the beginning and they have hand sanitizer at the end of every ride. Now, they were actively filling the stations all day long as far as I could see. I would maybe come up to one and it would be low, but for the most part they were keeping up very well with the hand sanitizer. So just in case that you catch a hand sanitizer and they haven't refilled it yet, it is good to have hand sanitizer in your park bag. I also noticed that cleaning on rides varied between rides. So it is really good just to make sure that you are hand sanitizing before you get on the ride and then after you get off of the ride. Some rides, they were stopping cleaning about every 20 minutes and really spraying everything down, letting the ride go through all the way once to give the spray time to dry, or they were doing it in between rides, just depending on what the ride was. I will also say something that I really felt from cast members are they are just as aware as you are about the cleaning measures and staying their distance from you. I had very many times where I either witnessed a cast member making a point to let a guest know, hey, we need to stay 6 feet apart. Also, even cast member to cast member, if they were huddled up at the beginning of a ride, they all made sure that they were 6 feet apart. As far as the overall feel from Disney itself, I think Disney is doing an excellent job, and they are making sure that they have everything in place to make sure that you as a guest and the cast members are safe. I also do think that it is your responsibility to make sure that you are aware of your surroundings, and if you're uncomfortable, all you need to do is pull yourself out of that and be able to go back later if you feel like there are too many people around. Also making sure that you have your own hand sanitizer on you at all times, and also having Lysol or Clorox wipes with you as well. All right, let's talk about the magic in Walt Disney World right now. Now, I am one of those that believes that the Disney magic is just absolutely magical. All the things that are not happening right now, to me, are really what makes the magic. So that is the meet and greets with the characters, the fireworks at night, and all the music that is going around, and also the parade. But it's Disney, and I think Disney has done an amazing job at keeping the magic in the parks with the limited experiences that they're able to do right now. And one of my most favorite things are those pop-up characters. Now, we all know about the cavalcades, and each park has its own kind of cavalcade, and whenever you all of a sudden hear the music get really loud and change, then you know that a cavalcade is coming, and sometimes the music itself kind of lets you know what kind of cavalcade is coming, whether it be princesses, whether it be the Frozen themed, whether it be Mickey and Friends or Pocahontas. So those were really cool to have those experiences and have the characters wave at you from afar. Now, what I'm really loving are all of the pop-up characters that they actually didn't have written anywhere. So Alice in Wonderland or Mary Poppins are in the gazebo in the United Kingdom. When I walked past her, that was just, I got goosebumps. I was so excited. Would really enjoy going to Walt Disney World right now. First off, if this is your first and only trip to Walt Disney World, I would absolutely say wait for all of the real magical experiences to come back. However, if you are somebody that has gone to Disney before and crowds were not really your thing, now is definitely the time to go. The crowds are almost non-existent if you have been to the parks before and know that they can really be elbow to elbow. Also, if just rides are your thing, if that's the only thing that you really are there for, absolutely now is the time. I want to say about 90% of the rides right now, the amount of time that was posted on the wait time in front of the ride, it just took you as long as it took you to walk the queue just to get on the ride. And I was really amazed at how much queue space we were passing up just to get to the ride. That was just mind-blowing to me. But things like Flight of Passage, things like Everest, things like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and Magic Kingdom, literally the rides were no longer the 20 or 30 minutes max, and that is amazing. The only park that is going to have maybe a little bit of an exception is going to be Hollywood Studios, and that's just because a lot of the rides that are open right now are really fresh and new. So a lot of people are going to be getting in line. Also, don't get discouraged if you go up to a line and you see that the line is all the way out. It is just because of all of the spacing that they have in the queue. I promise it moves quickly. And then lastly, pictures. There's hardly anybody in the parks right now, and it used to be that if you wanted a picture in front of Cinderella's castle with nobody in it, you either needed to get a very early morning breakfast reservation, eat really early, and then get in front of the castle where there's nobody, or literally close down the park until midnight or 1 a.m., just depending on what time the park closed, to be able to get those pictures. But right now, the pictures that you can get in Walt Disney World with nobody in them is amazing. There are PhotoPass photographers all over the parks. All of the magic photos are still going on, and it's been really fun to be able to get different kinds of pictures and not have to wait for nobody to be in the picture with you. So there you have it. Those are the top concerns and also my experiences on my last trip in July. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I would love for you to join me on my channel and my love for the magic, because I'm here to spread the magic about Walt Disney World. You can find me on all other platforms at Creating the Magic, and everybody have a magical day.